Okay, well, today we're speaking to Yoko from Andreessen Horowitz. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Super excited to chat more about Supabase and DevTools and other things.
Well, before we get into it, maybe we can do some rapid fire so everyone can figure
Yeah.
out who you are. First of all, what is your role at Andreessen Horowitz?
Well, my day job is a investment partner at a16z. So I invest in early stage infrastructure, developer tools, and AI company. But I also have a passion for writing a lot of software, open source software. I used to be on the team at Terraform Cloud, so really love working on open source. So I ship a lot of demo apps, templates for developers to use with AI. So things like AI Town, Companion app, most recently local AI stack.
Since you're a programmer, how long have you been programming for?
Since before I was in college, so since I was 16. So
Okay.
I got introduced to programming, writing Java programs. That was me.
Yeah, okay.
Eclipse,
iPhone or Android?
Android. I named one
Why?
of my cats Pixel. I love the software. Hardware is okay.
Which IDE do you use for
VS
programming?
Code. This was easy.
VS Code.
Yeah.
What application do you use for productivity notes, to-dos, things like that?
I use Notion, and because of the Google ecosystem, I use the Google's note. I think it's called Keep.
Mhm. Anything else that we need to know about Yoko? Actually, yes, there is something that we need to know about Yoko. You also are an illustrator. How long have you been illustrating for?
I love drawing while I was young, so I always dreamed of becoming an artist. So it's when I worked for one of the previous startups I worked for that I started to combine, this artistic calling to my work, like technology. Since back then, I found it is easier to kind of illustrate something and then for the developers to understand what it is for, kind of like a meme. It's like a fun way to explain the technical concept that's opposed to, writing a blog or white paper, just not my style. So it has been definitely my creative outlet. And just last week, my team and I, we kind of came up with 12 cartoons for the new year. So y'all will probably be seeing it pretty soon. All infrastructure
Amazing.
AI theme. I'm also working on a series of cartoons for explaining AI concepts. So things like what is diffusion model? How does my attention mechanism work? It's just like what I really enjoy explaining to my family and friends.
I've got maybe a tough question for you, or
Yeah.
maybe it's really easy. So if you could only, for the rest of your life, like, don't worry about salary or anything, it's going to sustain you. But if you could only program or you could only draw for the rest of your life, which one would you choose?
I would choose to program just because you can draw via programming.
Okay. Nice. Very good answer. Let's talk about the local AI stack. So maybe you can explain what it is and how it came about.
Yeah. So how it came about was after we shipped a few open source projects, Companion Stack was one. It allows you to talk to ChatGPT or other models as it is a companion and give it the whole backstory, history, things like that. And then AI Town, which is like kind of like implementation of June's generative agent paper. So after shipping these two, the community were telling us, hey, like OpenAI is actually really expensive to run. And normal people don't have the luxury to, just put down a credit card or to charge however much. And I think like that totally makes sense. I also had a problem as like, ChatGPT is great, but once in a while, I do want to just like not call it API and then just experiment with something locally. So local AI stack is the answer to that. So the thinking is, what if I don't want to put down a credit card, but what if I'm a dev who just wants to experiment with how AI works, but not wanting to pay for it or doesn't have the resource to pay for it. So, but later I still want to push it to production. I have a brand path to like a deployed app. So that's how it came to be. It is a stack that allows developers to, write a simple Q&A app based on the document. Um, and then leverage Olama for local inference, Supabase for database, and then some of the other great tools for like Transformer.js for embedding generation.
And I think you also were messaging me on Twitter that you were running it on a Raspberry Pi
Yeah,
or trying to run
I
it
was
on a
trying
Raspberry
to.
Pi. Yeah.
I haven't got it quite work yet. So just because when I ran the model in Supabase and then this set of tools on Raspberry Pi, unfortunately, Raspberry Pi 4 was very slow. uh, but I can see a world where it's doable if I trim it down more. So I'll let you know if I get it
I've
working.
I've just bought this weekend a Raspberry Pi
Amazing. Did you get a
so that
5
I
or
can have
4?
I got a 4 just because it was the only one in stock, but then I just saw
Yeah.
that the email made you get a 5, so we'll see.
Uh, I just got my 5. I had to, like, get up early in the morning. Well, not my husband had to get up early in the morning to, like, watch for when they restock it and then report it. So we actually just got it, a couple of days ago. I'll try it out and let you know.
Yeah, I'd love to know. Why did you choose Supabase as part of the local AI stack?
So it's two things. One is I really love how easy it is to get started using Supabase. So the goal for local AI stack was that I really wanted anyone, like maybe like an entry level programmer, to be able to try it out and then utilize it. And then there are apps like I have written before where you have to set up like a lot of cloud services. That is great, but may not be like for like a beginner who just have their, just want to code up something on their MacBook. So local development was very important to me for this stack, and Supabase was great. I just ran two commands; they just magically worked. And then there are also ways to kind of pick and choose what services you want to run locally with Supabase. I found that to be really cool because, like, on the one hand, it is Supabase is very powerful. You can run real time. You can run like a clone proxy with it. You can run, like the UI Studio. But what if you just want a database? And then Supabase allows you to do that. You can just like give it flag and then start just a Supabase database locally to work with your app. And love the developer experience. So thank you so much for making it so easy. So I also found it's easy to, push this to production if I ever wanted to. Um, like transitioning from Supabase local to Supabase cloud was also very easy.
The funny thing is, not a lot of people in the community, a lot of them get started on the cloud and they just develop
Yes.
directly on the website,
Yes.
which always shocks me because we put so much effort into the local development.
I think it's just there's something comforting about, and like just great dev experience of running things locally because you know
Mm,
that you don't have any dependency anymore. Like there's one time I had to debug something that it was actually our computer firewall that blocked the request because it's a weird URL.
mhm.
Um, and I debugged it for a long time because I didn't realize it was like a networking thing that blocked it because it didn't warn me. It just says the request failed. So it is nice to kind of be fully in control of your environment locally, but also have the option to, opt out of that easily.
Mhm. Yeah. And that composability that you talked about actually is one of the core principles of Supabase. There's two principles actually. Everything works combined. So it should feel like a single product. But the second principle is actually everything works in isolation. So it's
Yes.
composable. Everything depends on Postgres. So that's the common
Mm.
substrate. And then we have hooks and APIs. But apart from those three primitives, it should just work.
Another awesome thing I forgot to mention, now you're mentioning this, I have to mention that in terms of composability is that when I was picking a database for running locally, I don't want to spin up too many databases. So I wanted to choose something that's like everyone somewhat knows. So like PostgreSQL is kind of like a standard. Another thing is I also want to have a local running vector database. So people who are, trying out the stack can, save the data in the same database, but, maybe different tables for querying later. I really love the PG Vector experience just because it's so easy to spin up.
Andrew's done an amazing job this year. It's one of the most widely supported vector offerings on the planet, which is pretty cool. And a
And
lot
so
of progress
actually,
made on the indexes.
yeah, there's actually another interesting feature I just realized I tried that was super cool, which was so for local only model, you will have to generate your own embedding. So that means
Mhm.
take one of those smaller embedding models. And I found a Supabase tutorial on how to host the embedding generation function on Supabase function. So I tried setting that up too, and it was kind of trippy. Like it was like in a good way. It was kind of trippy experience because I was like, oh, like hosted function. I must have hosted on the cloud, but it turns out you can host it locally and it's just a service under Supabase.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's thanks to, as well, Hugging Face and Transformers JS. They've done a lot of great work there with the Transformers JS library.
Yeah, Transformer JS is amazing. I was experimenting with different ways to kind of use it. Um, and then use a very small, like a 300 something dimension model, easily
Mhm.
pulled from Hugging Face. It was awesome.
What other cool things are you building?
So this upcoming one I'm going to release, hopefully this week or next week, it's going to be an AI Tamagotchi. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the word Tamagotchi because it's probably trademark. So initially I named it Tamago GPT because Tamago is like a um, anyways, so after building AI Town, I just thought a lot about, uh, you know, how to handle game state and application state when you're building an AI app. What kind of control do you give to LLM, or what kind of control do you retain as a programmer in the state management space? And so I thought, what's the easiest game to build to kind of study this concept more? And Tamagotchi is literally the easiest thing you can code up because it's very stateful. There's like the Tamagotchi has like states like health, happiness, um, hunger, and then it's mood and things like that. So that's why I started working on this a couple months ago on and off, and I recently just like put in more time. And it is very interesting around how the model will surprise the player by outputting very outrageous things once in a while. So for example, just last night I was debugging this this prompt, and then the Tamagotchi said, "Oh, like I clicked on, hey, I want to play with you." And the thing about the app is, I don't want it to be like the traditional Tamagotchi where you only have two modes of play. You can randomly generate what you want to play with the Tamagotchi, and the animation will change based on what you want to play. So baseball, you will show a baseball things like that. So the Tamagotchi came up with the answer I've never thought of, which is that I love playing with virtual pets. And that's when I'm like, oh, we live in a simulation.
Imagine I said, I love creating virtual pets. Then we'd go just deeper and deeper.
It did have some, so it did. Let me pull this up actually. I was like jotting down all these outrageous things they output. One time, I was feeding it. So for every feed, the return JSON will include like a comment field, which will just like add the Tamagotchi's commentary. Do I like this food? Do I hate this food? Things like that. And one time it says, I'm feeling a bit hungry. I haven't had any food that I like in a while because I've been locked in this virtual environment for a while now.
Oh,
This is
wow.
yeah. So I thought it was just like a very just makes the game more fun, makes your
Yeah.
Tamagotchi to have more character.
Yeah. What
And that,
model are you
yeah,
using?
I'm using the Llama 27B quantize running on Llama. So like just running locally. So it could be that the model hallucinates a little bit, but it's kind of a feature.
Maybe I can switch to the other side of the coin. Since you're an investor and probably a ton of builders are going to be listening to this, what do you think of the market at the moment? What do you think is interesting? Are you doing many rounds? Especially for indie developers, how should they be thinking about whether to start a business or not and what industry to go into?
Yeah, there's just so much momentum in AI and dev tools, as well as infrastructure. Because what I realized, just from trying out different things, was that whatever in AI you will build, you will need database, you will need to send emails, you will need to have a durable execution engine. Like that doesn't change. LLM is not built for that. Like I know there's like this school of thought. They were like, "Oh, LLM is going to replace everything." But kind of working with these things in depth, it just feels like there are algorithm problems that LLM is not suitable for solving, not because it can't. Like probably like the 70 billion parameter model can't solve it. It just computationally, it doesn't make sense for that LLM to solve it when you can solve it so cheaply using traditional compute. So as an early stage investor, I think there's just so much momentum. I haven't seen anything slow down lately. But, if I were a builder, I would think about like, well, first, what kind of things that brings me joy when I keep working on it for the next 10 years? So that's how I think about it when I, like build these side projects. Not that I'm gonna work on these things for 10 years, but does it bring me joy when I build them? And then I think that will just automatically cascade into, more work, more discovery. So you really have to have a lot of curiosity to go into it. And then two, it's just tinkering with a lot of these things. And then that's definitely an area I'm trying to help in that. I know there's a lot of AI jargons out there. It seems like it's really hard to get into, but once you tinker with it, it's actually pretty easy to use and then pretty easy to comprehend. Not everyone is going to train their own foundational model. Most of the people will not. Most of the people will build new, like cool applications using the APIs and figuring out how to best use using these APIs. So comes to build. Let me know if you're building anything interesting. Feel free to reach out to me on Twitter DM.
To wrap it up, let me ask you a couple of, I guess, rapid fire questions. Are you a Reddit user?
Yes, I have an
Okay,
email
then you
account.
might.
I never post
Okay,
anything.
you might know this question then. So, would you rather fight 100 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck?
Oh, this one's easy. I would rather fight one horse and duck.
One horse-sized duck?
Yes. It's like
Why?
if you play Zelda, it's pretty obvious.
Why? I don't play Zelda.
Oh, okay. Sorry, that was just like one of the games that I was just this reminds me of. Um, so with a horse-sized duck, there has to be one weakness somewhere. You just have to find and take it out. But with a lot of back-sized horses, there's a lot of things, different things from different directions you have to take care of. So I if I have to choose, I think the easiest way is to use the least effort to take on the Goliath. So that's what I think. And instead of taking on, like, I don't know, 100 different uh, little horses running from different directions. And that's
you,
really like a magnitude of strength.
you realize that you're gonna fight it with your bare hands, right? How are you gonna grapple this
Oh,
thing?
that's it. Do I get to use tools? I was like slingshot or
What
something.
what okay, what tool? You get one tool. What tool would you use?
I'll get a slingshot and then I'll use the slingshot. I'll use the slingshot to attack its neck.
Okay.
It's hard to take it
Okay.
back, take it out. Wait, am I supposed to incorporate tech concepts into this? I don't know. I'm
No,
like, what's the simple
not
answer?
at all. No, that's a great answer. Yeah, very vicious, but that's the way that ducks typically go down.
All
So
the
that's
ducks
great.
are delicious.
Okay, I've got another bonus one for you because I didn't think I'd actually ask you that one. Let me pull it up. Okay, I'm going to give you two superpowers and you have to choose, you get one of them. So you get to choose between one of these two powers. You can either read other people's minds, but only if you press your forehead against their head, or you can fly, but only when you're completely drunk, like really blackout drunk.
Oh, wow. The trade offs. first, I don't want the first ability. You have you read the three body problem?
Yeah, I haven't finished it, but yeah, I started.
Yeah, um, that's the reason I don't want the first one.
Okay.
I'm not gonna spoil the plot,
Okay,
but the
good, good.
first one didn't feel that useful. Um, um, and then the
And the second
second
one does
one,
feel useful to you,
it doesn't
driving?
feel useful, but it give you a good view. I mean, there are a lot of things in life that are not useful, but give you a good experience. So I think the second one is one of them.
The second. Okay, great. So fly when you're drunk. That's perfect.
Flower hair drug.
But yeah, you'll save a lot of DUIs and you can, yeah, avoid
Oh yeah,
driving
I
home
didn't
drunk.
think
That's
about it
good.
that way actually. Yeah.